The New Orleans Saints head out to Cali.
I'm going back to Cali.
That's right, the New Orleans Saints head out west. They had joint practice on Thursday with the Los Angeles Chargers. These two will play one another this weekend, week 2 preseason game. And the New Orleans Saints, they look pretty good today. Like if you checked it out, there's a lot of footage going around, a lot of positive things to talk about in regards to the New Orleans Saints. One thing is the defense. The defense had a really good day at practice with the Los Angeles Chargers, but that's really no surprise to me. We know that the Saints calling card for the last few years has been their defense. And then you have guys who played on this team last season. They're getting more and more experience. One guy that is really standing out throughout training camp is defensive tackle Malcolm Roach. Malcolm Roach is going into his 4th season out of the University of Texas. He's a Baton Rouge native. And the media asked Cam Jordan about Malcolm Roach.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's refreshed. Obviously, Malcolm Roach is his 4th year in our system. And he has found his niche, if you will, and knows how to make these big plays. And mentally speaking, again, he's at a refresh point, it seems like. He looks like he's reinvigorated with the game.
Look, Malcolm Roach is just growing in the system like Cam just alluded to. This is a guy who came in. That's all he knows is Saints defense. And, if you are in the defense, in a scheme for 3-4 years, things are starting to get easy for you, starting to understand verbiage, and you can play a little bit more loose and a little bit more free. We all know about Malcolm Roach. He's an extremely athletic defensive tackle. He wasn't exactly where he needed to be throughout the years, but I just think that now you don't have Davon Yamada, now that some of the other members of your defensive line are gone, and now you replace them with other guys that you got via free agency, via the draft. Now Malcolm Roach is looked at as one of the guys that's a leader on that defensive line, a guy that's familiar with the information defensively, and he's able to give that information to some of the guys that just got here. And I'm glad that he's taking advantage of his opportunities. And I think that the sky's the limit for Malcolm Roach. And I just think that now the contract situation is resolved. He knows that he's going to be with the New Orleans Saints. I just think that he's a little bit more confident. And I think that he believes that he has something to offer on this defensive line. So shouts out to Malcolm Roach. Also, we had Michael Thomas. Michael Thomas taking a part in one-on-ones, of course, lining up against star safety Derwin James. And he won 3 out of the 4 of that one-on-one matchup. Look, Michael Thomas, a lot of people feel like he's not what he once was. He's still trying to work his way back. But Michael Thomas is so talented and so good, man. Even 85% Michael Thomas is better than half of the league. This guy catches everything, and he believes in himself, and he's a competitor. He's a guy that wants to win everything, from football to Scrabble to checkers, whatever you talking about. I think Michael Thomas just wants to dominate, and I just think that he has a huge chip on his shoulder. I mean, for the last 2.5 years, Michael Thomas has been dealing with injuries. Last year, he thought that he was going to have this comeback season. He was going to be on his warpath. And it looked like he was. It looked like he was going to go on his warpath. But it just didn't happen. Of course, he had his injuries to his toe, and he had to miss the season. And now Michael Thomas is starting to come back. I think that Michael Thomas is confident in what he can bring to the table. I think that he's confident because he has a quarterback that he actually feels like can get him the ball where he needs it to be. No disrespect to anybody, but I just think that the presence of Derek Carr just kind of is helping Michael Thomas. I mean, I have never seen Michael Thomas as animated and as talkative as he's been. I mean, I probably seen more Michael Thomas interviews this offseason than I probably see throughout his entire time in the NFL. But, he's embracing the moment. And I think that being away from something that you love like football kind of puts things into perspective, and it makes you have an appreciation for life. I mean, there was times where in training camp, you had Michael Thomas was the last one to lead the field, signing autographs, taking pictures, looking like the everybody's favorite politician. But, that just shows you how grateful he is as a member of the Saints, and also to be able to play once again. Look, I'm very confident in Michael Thomas. As long as Michael Thomas can go out there and be on the field, I think that he's going to make plays. That's just what he does. I just want him to be able to come back and live up to the hype that was, taking place for about a 3 or 4 year span, where he can come back and be able to build on that. He definitely deserves that, man, through the hard work and dedication he has put in this offseason. Also, his ace Boone Coon, his fellow Buckeye, Chris Olave. Chris Olave taking a part in one-on-ones and being a little bit more animated than we're normally seeing him. Like, normally when you see Chris Olave, Chris is a quiet guy, very, very shy demeanor. But today he was very, very vocal. And the media asked Michael Thomas about Chris Olave, and, Chris Olave coming out his shell.
Yeah, he's a dog. He's a dog for sure. He lives for these moments. He lives for competition. He loves to compete. He's come from that same club, from Ohio State. That pedigree and that standard that we hold ourselves to, and we compete all day at practice, and we come out here. That's what makes the game fun for us, competing and going against the best and proving ourselves right and winning our rep and getting the team going and letting everyone feed off us. We look for that and we take pride in that.
I love it, man. Look, I think that Chris Olave is poised to have a really good season. I'm kind of on the fence when it comes to him being a leading receiver this year. I think that is coming. But I still think Michael Thomas is the number one guy. I think as long as Michael Thomas is healthy, he's the number one guy. But that doesn't mean that Chris Olave won't take that next step. And him being as vocal and as animated and as fiery as he was in practice with the Los Angeles Chargers, this tells you everything that you need to know. That this guy definitely does have that extra gear. And he wants to win. And he's a competitor. This guy has won on a collegiate level, and now he's trying to win on a professional level. And the New Orleans Saints really need Chris Olave to step up this season. But I think he's going to rise to the occasion. He has everything that you need in a wide receiver. He has really good route running skills. He has really good speed. And, if he can get those 50-50 balls down packed, I think that he will be a really good all-around receiver. I just think that in some cases when it comes to Chris Olave, some of those balls where he has to fight for them, sometimes he doesn't come down with them. But he's been working on that. And from what I see, it seems like, he's getting better at that. So Chris Olave, fiery at practice. I love it. And finally, also Derek Carr. Derek Carr taking part in practice. According to some news sources, I don't know how true this is, he may not play week 2 of preseason. I don't know if that's the case or not. I'm pretty sure based on the offense, maybe he'll end up playing maybe a series or 2. But Derek Carr is adjusting to life as the New Orleans Saints quarterback. And he talked to the media a little bit about the transition and some of the differences.
Yeah, I'm just adjusting, doing my best at it. We still have our house in Vegas, and we still have home base there. But coming to a new city, the first thing is I've learned Chipotle is not the only food in New Orleans. I learned that quick. I've learned a lot of things since joining, but for me, it's just been whenever you get released somewhere, that fire, you get rejuvenated, all those kind of things, and you feel refreshed. And it's been great inside our building. Again, like I said, I wish the Raiders the best. Those are my friends. I hope they win and do great. But I'm in New Orleans now, and I'm gonna give them everything I have with a new energy and all that kind of stuff that I'm excited to bring.
I'm going to say this about Derek Carr, and this may not be popular opinion, but I think this needs to be said. I think that he is really, really, really hurt that the Las Vegas Raiders released him. And they basically said that they didn't want him anymore. I think it still gets to him. I know that, guys, they're human, right? You go out there, you put your life on the line, you give the blood, the sweat, the tears to try to bring some prestige and recognition to organizations by winning games, going to the playoffs, and you put your best foot forward, and all of a sudden they just throw you away. I know that's not a good feeling. I understand all that. But I really think that Derek Carr really needs to let that thing go. I think that he needs to focus on, the future. And I think that he's trying to do that. But I mean, it's just human nature. Like when you give your all and that happens, it can frustrate you. But that doesn't mean that he doesn't have the mental makeup or he isn't dialed in or focused on trying to win for the New Orleans Saints. And I think, because of the situation with Las Vegas, the chip that he has on his shoulders, he is going to go out there and he's going to be motivated to play his absolute best. It's just something about when somebody says they don't want you anymore, or somebody say they don't need you. Like, we rather go over here than rock with you. I mean, that is really a slap in the face to some people, and that's how they feel. So I just think that Derek Carr needs to use that fuel, which it seems like he is. He needs to use that fuel in order for him to motivate himself to be the best quarterback possible, to shove it in the face of those that felt like he wasn't worthy enough to be the starting quarterback of the Raiders. From what I saw on that first drive in week 1, this guy is ready to play. And if he can replicate this week after week after week, look out for the New Orleans Saints offense. It'll be the best in the league. But I would love to hear from you. What do you think about practice with the Los Angeles Chargers for the New Orleans Saints? What do you think about Michael Thomas, Chris Olave being fired up, and Derek Carr's chip on his shoulder? Comment down below. Like and share this video. Thank you so much for checking out the State of the Saints podcast. Previous episodes available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Anchor FM. Till next time, all I gotta say is, who dat?